order. Second item on the agenda is the minutes, approval of the minutes from the regular meeting held on January 24th, 2019. Are there any corrections or additions? Hearing none, they're approved as presented. I want to welcome everyone to Commission Chambers, both here and at home. Appreciate your interest in city government. This is your part of the agenda, public comments. If anyone has a comment about a non-agenda item, please come forward now. Seeing none, employee promotions and new hires.
Good evening. I'm Jesse Rohr, Director of Public Works, and tonight I'd like to introduce to you Shirley McDonald. In January of this year, Shirley was promoted to full-time administrative assistant at the Public Works Department. Shirley has worked for us part-time for nearly 4 years. It'll be 4 years here in a couple weeks. And so her having the abilities and the knowledge she had made it incredibly easy for us in this transition. The transition was so easy, and it made a lot of sense for us to promote her into this position. So we're glad to have Shirley on board, and welcome her.
Congratulations. Very, very good.
Thank you, Shirley.
Very good.
Good evening, Commissioners. Jeff Crispin, Director of Water Resources. And I am pleased to introduce to you Jacob Schnabel. Jacob is our Maintenance Worker 1 employee, and that is the area that does all the water lines, meter reading, and those type things, and helps clean sewers. But Jacob actually, he was just hired, but he was actually recently a part-time maintenance worker for us in the same area. He left, and then we had a position come open, and he came back. Recent graduate of Fort Hays State, so I'm pretty proud of that. Bachelor's in music, if I get that right. Also, here in the future, we'll be joining the Marines. So I think that is awesome. A lot going, and also tonight is his birthday.
Oh.
Wow.
Happy
Wanted to break
birthday.
that out, but that is pretty good. So
Congratulations.
Thank you, Jacob.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Good evening, Don Scheibler, Chief of Police for the Hays Police Department. Tonight it's my pleasure to introduce to you our newest police officer, Officer Dakota Goley. Dakota comes from us from Golden, Colorado. Like so many of our young people that come to our community, Fort Hays State brought him to Hays. He played football for Fort Hays State University. He wrestled for Fort Hays State University. Got his bachelor's degree in agriculture and secondary education. I think he was on the fast track to becoming a teacher when we grabbed him up. And, got him interested in law enforcement. Started with us part-time, but we had a full-time position come open, and he came on board, and he's now full-time with us. It is also Dakota's birthday.
Oh, my gosh. Happy birthday, Dakota.
He is happy to spend his Valentine's Day and his birthday with us.
I'll bet he is.
I'm sure that was top of the list. Yeah, welcome.
You're welcome. Congratulations. Thank you all for coming out on your
Yes,
birthday.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
Anybody else with a birthday? Please stand up.
The Vice Mayor will have a bottle of wine for you.
Not here.
It's not drinkable, but you can take it home and pretend. Next, City of Hays website presentation.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. I'm proud to, I'm Chad Reuter, IT Director.
Thank you, thank you.
I'm proud to speak to you tonight about the redesign of our core website, haysusa.com. We have some nice features to share with you, but I want to talk to you about history, to show you about where we started and where we're at today. I think that'll build a nice little picture. First thing I want to show you is this beauty. This was when I was hired in late 2000. My first task, other than picking up the pieces from some other things, was to build a website. So this thing was top shelf. It had flashing lights for the police department. It had trees that waved for the parks department. It had scrolling marquees along the bottom. And everything was great for a while until wiser heads prevailed and decided that I needed to work on computers and hire someone who had some design ability, design skills. So that's when Jesse Jacobs was hired. Jesse came about, and in 2004, we looked like this. I don't have screenshots from every year, but you can see that from the left-hand side to the core of it, it actually looked like a website, so we were proud to have her. Over the years, Jesse took that basically $300 piece of software with 1 or 2 upgrades and built something that it tried to stand the test of time, and she did an amazing job. There was a lot of things behind the scenes that would fail, she'd take care of, nobody would know the difference. But we were cruising along, and then we get to where we are today, or not today, last week. And we've been riding like this for a while, and you ask yourself, do we upgrade our website? Where does a website fall in with local city government? Where does it fall in with social media? And it was decided, like, yes, a website is indeed needed. We need to provide some more tools, provide something modern. So we formed a committee of departmental representation, and we knew we needed to do this because with modern systems, it isn't just IT anymore. The departments themselves were going to take over the maintenance of the website. So we got together, and everybody wanted 2 main goals. It needed to be informational and current. You don't want old, stagnant information. And you wanted a layout that was intuitive. You want people to be able to navigate their way through. After that, we started splitting down our goals. For IT, we wanted things such as, can we track things with analytics? Is it American with Disabilities Act compliant? We wanted mobility and dynamic resizing, basically. Can you view this on multiple size screens? And then probably most important for us is the second part that I listed, content management. That's where we would administer the back end and make sure that everything works well, but the departments will take care of posting their information. For example, Kim will have the ability to post the audio from tonight's meeting at his time frame, not ours. We always did our best, but when you have all the requests coming to IT, we have other things going on. It doesn't always match time frames. Bid postings, things like that. Now departments can actually go in there and do their own thing, and that was key for us. So the departmental specifications, they wanted to be able to search. They hear that one of the biggest things that we didn't have before was the ability to granular search our website. So they were looking to that, and then they also wanted forms and calendar tools. From the citizen perspective, we did a lot of research, and we found that, this is from the departmental and the citizen side. Are there things that the citizen can do without calling in? We love to speak to citizens, but if there's something that they can do, whether gaining information, finding out what they need quickly on their own time, in the evening, on a mobile device, that's where we were looking. So citizens also want current information. They want forms, calendars. They want to know about city news, and they want to pay their bills online. So we sat down, we started working towards a goal, and we ended up with what we launched on Monday. Wow. We're very proud. There's beautiful pictures. We start out with the mega menus on top that we feel, based on our research and then government design trends, what do people want? The how do I, in my opinion, is the most important. It drops down and gives you options. The search is right in the middle. We spoke about the ability of having a search on our website. It's right in the middle, right there for you. And then the bottom buttons came about based on design trends and the analytics from our previous websites. Where do people go? What are they looking for? Whether it's easy to get there or not, where did they end up? And that's where we end up. As you scroll down the home page, you'll see city news, and that's broken up into 2 sections. We have a news flash that will be, I'll speak about a notification system here pretty soon, but that's where push information ends up. And then we have a carousel of very important items. Right now you can see water conservation and our North Vine Street corridor project. As you scroll through, we also have information on the city commission and then the wastewater treatment remodel. If you move down from there on our homepage, we have a city calendar, all very important things. So that's the homepage. Now I'll get into a couple of key items of the website, but there are well over 200 pages on the website, so I invite you to look on your own and explore. But one thing that we're very proud of is a true agenda center now. Whether you get there from the how do I section or you go to through the government section to either the city commission or some of the boards and committees, there's a true agenda center to where agendas will be posted, but not only the agendas are posted, later on, you will see that you can click on for the city commission, audio from the meeting, you can access the minutes, and you can search the agendas. From there, we spoke about forms. This is a form that the Parks Department created for tree rebates. It is so nice that someone, again, it doesn't matter what time of day, they can do things at their own pace. The information is accurate because they type it in themselves. The Parks Department receives it, and they do what they need to with it. Last thing I want to talk about is Notify Me. There's a module of our website that is going to replace our current notification system. We have a notification system called Nixle that met our needs in the beginning, but Toby always wanted something a little more granular. Rather than a blanket opt-in, he wanted to give citizens the ability to sign up via text and email for unique things that catch their interest, such as public safety, road closures, bid notifications. You know, as you scroll up and down, you can see most of those. When the site is live, I'm going to stay within the presentation here, but again, when you explore, you'll see under How Do I, and then Notify Me, you'll see all the options. Above this, there is the first thing is for emergency alerts. That would be something that'd be extremely serious. But after that, any calendar event that we push out, any news flash, the agendas for not only the city commissioner boards, the other boards that have agendas, you can select that you want to just witness them and not just a blanket opt-in. We feel that we're going to get more subscribers because people will get what they want to hear about. So this was a combined effort. I want to thank all the departments that gave representation. We were very well taken care of, and then the assistant city manager, Jacob, who had wrapped everything together when it was all said and done. And then from our side, my IT technician and webmaster, Jessie Jacob, she was the true project manager on this. I looked good at times, but she was the one that was in the background taking on pages and pages of notes. It's amazing. You get 2 or 3 people together and you get opinions on what a website should look like. If you get more than 2 or 3 people, it's pages and pages. And then Jacob had to go through those. So I invite you to visit hazeusa.com. It went live on Monday. We are going to stay with Nixle for just a little bit while we get our feet wet on notifications, and then we'll transition away from it.
Are you going to do both of them for a while?
Just for a little bit, yes. And then we'll use Nixle to notify people that we are going to transition away. Please go to hazeusa.com. How do I sign up for notifications? And then you can see that it'll be a better system. We're going to do that a couple of times and let people know that we're doing it, and then we'll transition away from Nixle. Questions for me?
What
In
is
200 pages, it's a lot to go through.
You talked about the website being ADA compliant. What does that mean? A website being ADA compliant. What does that look like versus one that's not?
There are tools that you install on a PC. I'm not 100% familiar with them, but someone who does have either visual impairments or hearing impairments, they install software on their computer, and it helps to view the site for them. And if the site doesn't give that software what they need, then they can't take it on. There is more to it than that, but all I know is that we wanted to be compliant, and the package that we have is.
I'm actually in the site while you were describing it. It's really outstanding, Jesse. You really did a nice job. The Notify Me is something that we had talked about as commissioners a while back when we were talking about Nixle and people saying they're not getting the kind of information they want. I hope we do some real good press with that, letting people know that they can go in and do that Notify Me. Because I think there's a lot of people out there that would like to use it and just, for one reason or another, didn't know what it was or didn't know what the word Nixle means. Where Notify Me makes it pretty clear.
It is an important portion of the website, and no matter, from day one till the last day, it was high on
Very good. It's a very, very nice job.
to give people the actual granular
Great.
ability to select what they like to see.
Looks great. Great job.
Appreciate that.
Was some of that photography on there yours, Jesse?
Most of those are, it's like a set for this.
Jesse has many talents.
It does, and it's going to be nice that once the smoke clears per se, and the departments get a really good feel for it, because they were trained, but then when you're live, you say, okay, we're going live, and then they go, oh my God. So once Jessie gets through those first initial go-throughs, she can sit back and work on back-end design, she can work on back-end maintenance, and let the people do their own, the departments do their own thing. Plus, she'll be able to do more of what I need
It's a real
her to do.
plus.
So it's really nice. We get requests in and very little go away.
How fast
I
will
have things
the,
for her.
how fast will the audio of the meetings be on?
I'm gonna actually look to this fellow right here. It could be right after the meeting. if you-
It will be tonight, because I won't be in tomorrow, but normally by Monday we have it.
Very good, very good.
That's another example of their time frame as opposed to ours.
Right.
He put in a ticket, it's a request to us. It could be tomorrow morning, we could come in and there's orange lights flashing on something that shouldn't have orange lights flashing, and I'll admit that we would look at that before.
Sure.
Bid postings, audio, everything.
Yeah, Jesse, thank you. Thank you for coming tonight. Excellent work.
Great job.
Next item is the consent agenda. Only one item for approval tonight, the Sierra Malt Beverage license application for St. Catherine Church. The mayoral appointments include Curtis Brown for Northwest Kansas Community Corrections Board, Mayor Ron Shahidi for the Sister Cities. Those are just presented to you prior to their consideration at the next full meeting.
I'll
Go.
make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as written.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries 5-0. There's no unfinished business. Moving on to new business. Annexation of property located at 183 Bypass and West 33rd Street. Approve ordinance 3960 annexing the property along Highway 183 Bypass and West 33rd Street.
Good evening. Sorry to say it's not my birthday tonight.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Glad you're here.
So Jesse Rohr, Director of Public Works, and I'm going to once again talk about this property annexation. This will be the fourth and hopefully the last time we'll be talking about this particular annexation in front of the commission. So the property we're talking about is located on the west side of Hayes along 183 Bypass. It is on the west side of the bypass. Here's a closer view of the property. You can see the outline in blue. This was formerly the Ball Mobile Home Court many years ago. Here's a closer view yet, and you can see the subject property. And this slide also shows the current city limits boundary, that dashed yellow line. So the property itself is approximately 500 feet from the current city limits, which is why we've brought this to you 4 different times, because it's a slightly different process than if it were contiguous with the city limits. I'll talk more about that process in just a moment. The properties on the west side of the bypass, including the subject property, are zoned ag. On the east side of the highway, there is various zoning districts, including residential and commercial. And I do want to mention that a request for rezoning has not been submitted and is not anticipated for the subject property. I mentioned the non-contiguous state of this property. You also want to make it known that city sewer is already available along the bypass, has been in place for several years and ready for connection to a property that would be annexed. There is a plan for city water to be extended by the developer of this property at the developer's cost. And also note that the property is within 100-year floodplain, so any development of the property would have to follow the standard FEMA floodplain regulations. So I mentioned the slightly different process. This was before the City Commission back in January, where you passed a resolution asking Ellis County Commission to also pass a resolution determining that this was a feasible annexation request, which the county did on February 4th. After that, the next step was to bring it back here, which brings us here tonight for your final determination on annexation of the property. Your options would be to approve the ordinance annexing the property, or do not. This would be the action requested if you so choose. Questions?
Commissioners?
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 3960, approving the annexation of the property along Highway 183 bypass and West 33rd Street as illegally described into the city of Hayes.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you,
Jesse.
Jesse.
Thank you.
2019 Street Maintenance Program award of bid, authorize the city manager to enter into contracts for construction as follows, all to be funded out of the Special Highway Fund.
Good evening, Commissioners. John Brown, Project Manager for the City of Hayes. As mentioned back in December, when I presented the 2019 Street Maintenance Program prior to going out for bids, there is a little over $1.1 million budgeted for street maintenance in 2019. This map shows the locations of all the work that was put out to bid. And on January 22nd, we received bids from 8 contractors. The bid documents were structured so that the contractors could bid on one or more of the various projects, and several of those 8 bidders did bid on more than one of the projects. Diamond grinding and curb repair and curb and brick repair included add alternates to allow for extra work if feasible. And the results of those bid openings were the low bidder for seal coat was Circle C Paving out of Goddard, Kansas. For just under 6 miles of street to be sealed was $153,535.20. And the map shows the locations of those streets to be seal coated. The asphalt rejuvenator, the low bidder was Pro Seal out of El Dorado, Kansas. They've done this work before too, and that's about 16 lane miles for $84,466.84. Most of the streets to be to receive the asphalt rejuvenator are arterials or major collectors that are wider and have had either our newer asphalt or have had an asphalt overlay within the last few years. There's one exception up there. The last phase of Kingsgate was put in asphalt, and it's a good idea to put that rejuvenating agent on there soon in its life to keep it in good shape before it starts drying out. As discussed back in December when I presented, microsurfacing was done on several streets throughout the city in 2018. However, the contractor was not able to complete all the streets under contract in 2018, so they will be returning in 2019 to complete the unfinished 2018 work, plus some additional streets at the 2018 contract prices at a cost of $71,159.05. The 3 streets to be added to the work that was contracted last year is MacArthur, south of Roosevelt School, Broadway between 27th and 33rd Street, and then that short section of 14th Street just all.
John, do we know that the prices would have been increased this year?
It's very likely. Most of the prices the oil price is a little bit higher
Okay, thank
than
you.
they were last year. So
And John, are we doing transverse crack repair on Broadway?
yes, we are. We did some in-house transverse crack repair where we actually saw cut out the asphalt and poured it back with a high early concrete, and then we will microsurface over that now. And as to do a comparison, we also did some poly patching, which was our traditional treatment for these transverse cracks, alongside of some of these concrete repairs. So we'll be able to see over time the performance of the concrete patches versus the poly patched patches, and if the poly patched patches fail, then we'll cut them back out and repair them with concrete, assuming that the concrete patches do not.
That's very good.
By the seashore.
Piper pick. Moving on to curb and brick repair, J Corp, a local contractor, had the low bid for curb and brick repair. We bid that out, as I mentioned earlier, as a base bid and an alternate bid. We're recommending both the base and the alternate. The base bid is basically reconstructing all of Walnut between 12th and 13th Street, basically curb to curb. We had a water leak there last year that washed most of the sand out from underneath the brick, and it's pretty rough. And so this we'll go in and remove the brick. We'll remove the brick. We'll evaluate the condition of the pavement underneath there, patch as necessary, and then put all the brick back curb to curb. So when reusing the brick that's there, supplemented by the brick that we have in stockpile. And then the alternate bid is to do portions of Elm Street between 6th and 8th Street. That would be in conjunction with the project in the works for later this year. Would be coordinated with the project later this year to reconstruct Elm Street south of 6th Street. J-Corp was also the low bidder for the reconstruction of portions of Ash Street from 23rd to 27th Street at a cost of $189,229. You recall that the several years ago, water line was replaced along Ash Street, and the east side of Ash Street has a new lane of concrete pavement that was put in at the time of the water line. So this project will replace the western 2/3 of Ash Street and select areas of curb and gutter, and then making sure that the curb ramps, the sidewalk, are ADA accessible to the day standards. And J-Corp was also the low bidder for concrete shoulders along East 8th Street and Old 40. They had a unit. We bid that at a unit price of $19.50 per lineal foot at a minimum amount of 1,000 lineal feet, with the option to do more. And as we discussed last time at the work session last week, adding shoulder along the entire length of both sides of East 8th and Old 40 could amount to approximately 9,000 lineal feet of shoulder for a cost of $175,500. We'll talk a little bit more of that later. So with the exception of diamond grinding, all the bids came in at or below staff's estimates, which were presented at the December 6th work session. As I mentioned last week, we did have 3 contractors who were interested in diamond grinding, but only one of them actually submitted a bid. When queried about to the other contractors, they indicated that their schedule was already full for the year and that they did not bid. The contractor who did submit the low bid, but significantly higher than our estimate and what the price was last year, indicated that their schedule was pretty full, and that that the price they bid is the price they bid, which was 60% higher than the unit price they had last year. And that's why we're not recommending awarding the bid of diamond grinding at this time. So we talked about some options last time about awarding only a portion of it, just the base bid, and still having a little bit of money left over. We also discussed rejecting all the diamond grinding bids and having $393,000 left over for other work. But at last week's commission work session, we discussed maximizing out the amount of shoulder to be done on East 8th and Old 40, which would leave about $237,000 remaining for other work, which might include rebidding diamond grinding later this year for work next year, carrying that money over. So staff recommends rejecting all the diamond grinding bids and awarding the remaining projects to the low bidders, with the concrete shoulders being maximized at $175,000, not to exceed $175,500. So the commission has the option of awarding contracts as recommended by staff, providing further direction to staff, or doing nothing. Any action requested is posted for your pleasure.
Chairman, I move we authorize the city manager to enter contracts for construction as follows, all to be funded out of special highway. Circle C Paving and Construction, LLC, in the amount of $153,535.20 for seal coat. Pro Seal in the amount of $84,466.84 for asphalt rejuvenator. Vance Brothers Incorporated in the amount of $71,159.05 for microsurfacing. J Corp Incorporated in the amount of $100,566.30 for curb and brick repair. J Corp Incorporated for the amount of $189,229 for Ash Street Major Rehab, and J Corp Incorporated in the amount of $175,500 for concrete shoulders.
Second.
You're welcome for taking that bullet.
I was just going to say thank you very much.
Thank you, James.
Any discussion?
I have a question for John. On the asphalt rejuvenator, how often do we do that? I mean, on one particular street,
Right.
like at Kingsgate, that's new, we're gonna put it on. When would we need to put it on again, or do we need to ever put it on again?
We probably would. Typically, it's going to be on a 3 to 5 year rotation. Something like Kingsgate that doesn't get nearly as much traffic as an arterial, it's probably more like 5 years. Streets like 13th Street or 27th Street would do that at 3 years. Now, in the case of like 13th Street, east of Vine, this may be the last time. This will be, I believe, to be the third time we've put the rejuvenator on there since it was overlaid. And I think the next time we're going to have to do something a little heavier duty, probably go with the seal coat or a micro surfacing. And at that point in time, we'll redo the pavement markings again. And that's the beauty of the asphalt rejuvenating, is if the pavement markings are good, we can put the rejuvenator on and we don't have to redo the pavement markings. Most other maintenance treatments would require to redo the pavement markings, which is a significant cost on these arterial streets. So the rejuvenating agent keeps the asphalt pliable, so we don't lose the fines and it doesn't dry out, and the asphalt kind of kneads itself and keeps the cracks from forming. But you'll notice on 13th Street it's starting to show it, and so we'll probably have to do something a little bit heavier duty next time, but it should be good for at least another 3 to 5 years on that.
Thank you.
I had the pleasure of driving on Highway 40, or I went today, saw an 18-wheeler go onto the gravel shoulder, and it was a stunning moment. Oh, they're going to make it or they won't, so I'm glad we are going to do those. That's a good suggestion.
Thanks for all the work that you guys put into this plan every year. I know it has to be a massive amount of work, and the priorities and everything, the thought that you put into it.
Appreciate that.
Call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5-0. Thank you, John. Happy birthday. Item number 9, City Manager Employment Agreement, 11th Addendum. Approve the 11th Addendum to the employment agreement between the City of Hayes and Toby R. Doherty. The city manager, like every employee in the city, undergoes annual evaluation. His was completed last week. There is a specific form that we fill out as individuals, and then we meet and discuss areas that we think are good and some areas that need improvement, and we've done that. What we have done as a completion of that performance evaluation, we're recommending that he receive a 3% adjustment to his pay, so a 3% increase in his pay retroactive to the first of the year, and that he give up 1 week of his PTO or paid time off. So he will be, I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, you'll be under the red plan. So we had a realignment.
I think it's a blue plan.
Blue, it doesn't matter, red, blue. These colors, these have bad feelings. So our point is that we believe he's doing a good job, and we're recommending that he receive the raise. And also, then he's requested to sell the paid time off because he's not using it. And so we, I believe, discussed that, and now we're going to consider approving this addendum.
I'll make a motion to approve the addendum as shared by the mayor. 3%, sorry, I was just going to define it, 3% increase and the sellback of 1 week of PTO.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a
Can I
second on the floor.
Can I clarify?
Yes.
Just for the record, it's not a sellback,
Oh,
it's a reduction of 1
Reduction,
week. accrual.
reduction, yes, yes.
My misstatement.
And I'd like to make a comment about the performance of the city manager. I have been a commissioner now for over 2 years. To say he does a wonderful job is an understatement, but to recognize the wonderful job he does is to recognize the department heads that he has. He allows them to work very independently. They do their job very well. He supports everything they do, and that kind of leadership, I think, is very important in our community, and I appreciate you, Toby. Thank you.
I do also, and I appreciate the times when we ask you tough questions, and sometimes you push back, but usually it's because of you have the, information, sometimes we don't, but you give us the information for us to review. And I mean, I feel like not only you, but your staff make our job as commissioner much simpler, and I appreciate what you do for our community. Thank you.
I'll say that I'm the last commissioner on here that hired Toby, and I didn't think he'd last this long. But, but he's done a good job, and I'm willing to keep him around.
Yeah.
Additionally, in my comments, I said it was retroactive. It's actually retroactive to December 16, 2018. It does begin with the first pay period in January, so that's when this will go back to. Toby has a unique talent. Not every manager is going to appeal to everyone, and they may say something and rub someone the wrong way for the rest of their life. But to do the job well, and you don't see that often in city managers, you have to have a good eye on finances and keeping the city financially sound. You have to conceptually see where the city is going and what it will need in 3 to 5 years. And then you have to have good people skills. And again, some may debate where his strengths are, but I feel that he's good in all three. And I appreciate his leadership and the fact that he empowers the people that work for him to make decisions as well. That is a mark of an excellent leader. Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries 5-0. I'd like to make a brief, I promise it will be brief, statement about our water project. In June of 2015, the cities of Hayes and Russell filed applications requesting the transfer of water from the R9 Ranch in Edwards County. This formal request was a result of decades of work, first examining all possible alternatives, every well, pond, stream, and reservoir. Then, after determining the R9 was the best choice for our communities, we carefully analyzed how to sustainably use the water rights at the ranch without harming our neighbors. We also reached out to other communities in Ellis and Rush counties for their support and potential purchase of this water in the future. And we continue working with our close partner, the City of Russell. The process is long. We've had a good working relationship with the Division of Water Resources, the state agency that will issue the final order that allows us to use this water. And in fact, to make this relationship work out, the cities went so far as to reduce the amount of water, or it's called consumptive yield, that we would use from the R9 ranch, far below what state statutes allow, with the promise that this would speed up the process of approval. Unfortunately, it has not. It's been nearly 4 years, and our communities in the region need the R9 ranch to remain economically viable. Over the next 3 months, we will continue to work with our representatives in Topeka and state officials to make this project happen. Mr. Meyer.
Very well stated. I agree with you 100%, and I think that we're going to see some changes from the commission, and I think all 5 of us individually are in agreement with this, that we need to be engaging our representatives more and having a discussion as to what I's need to be dotted and what T's need to be crossed in order to get us over the finish line. It's my personal opinion that we have been treated quite differently from anybody else who would have filed a change order application. Some of it justified because we knew that there would be a transfer process at the end of this, but the vast majority of it quite unfairly. And it's beyond time for the state to step up to the plate, cross the T's, dot the I's, and finish this.
I would agree 100%. It's very frustrating, and the fact that we're getting promises that aren't met. If we didn't have those promises, we wouldn't be nearly as frustrated as what we are. So, as a commission, we're going to start pushing a little harder. So if something comes about that we're not playing nice, well, it's not about playing nice. It's making elected officials do what they're supposed to do, and appointed officials.
When I became a city commissioner, I thought there were going to be some really difficult processes that I would have to deal with as time goes along. It turns out, because of what I consider a great body of commissioners right now, the only thing that is an issue and a frustration for me is this water issue. And it's not been dealt with by me as long as it has every other commissioner on this panel today. There's no reason for it. There's no reason for it to happen. There's no reason for it to continue. We've done everything we're supposed to do. We have a city manager that's led us through the process, that knows more about water and what's going on in the state of Kansas than about anybody. It's time we get it done.
I would agree with the mayor's statement. I mean, we're all elected to make decisions. Sometimes they're tough, but the time is, let's make a decision and, move on. I mean, this is not only for Hayes, but it's for our neighbors and for Western Kansas, and we need Western Kansas to grow. And if we don't get this soon, it's going to hurt for a long time. And I hope the mayor continues to push on this.
I'd ask that at a future work agenda, if you could, we'd like to have an update on the status of city commissions and boards. As I was preparing remarks and thought about Abraham Lincoln on his birthday, our work on the R9 reminded me of this brilliant quote from President Lincoln: "Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the axe." We are adjourned.